we're here with something new. Now, since I just started my YouTube channel back in June, I have never been able to do this kind of video. And it's something that I used to like to do on my blog all the time, so I decided to do it on a video channel instead, and that is pilot season. I love TV. In my family, my husband is the movie guy, the music guy, and this one is the comic, anime, video game guy, so is Vince, and I'm pretty much the television person. So I can usually spot with pretty good accuracy if something is going to last or if something is not going to last. Sometimes I will in fact watch a TV pilot even though I know it's not going to last, just because I like it. Because a lot of my favorite shows, aka Firefly, have been canceled.
Joss Whedon plus Fox equals one season.
Before their time. Am I right? So, what we're going to do is we're going to bring to you a couple different videos, and we're going to tell you the shows that you should be watching and the shows you shouldn't give any of your time to. And maybe what you should watch on a given night. If you can get 2 shows recording on your DVR at one time, and you can watch one or whatever it is. Watch one, DVR one, Hulu the other one. We're going to tell you how to do that, okay? So in this video, we're going to tell you about shows you should be watching, all right? So how I decide I'm going to watch shows. What I will do is I will watch every pilot, especially if it's available. Usually the ones that are on ABC, NBC, Fox, and CW, I'm able to watch on Hulu or their websites. CBS doesn't go on Hulu, so
Because CBS is not a team player.
CBS, no, sorry, CBS. So I couldn't watch any of their pilots at all, and so I'm going to be giving you those later, because I don't really like going on their website. Their player's a little wonky. So I haven't done any of that. So what I do is I watch the pilots as I can, and then if I like it within the first 10 minutes, I'll keep watching. If I don't, if I get bored in the first 10 minutes, it's gone. Then after the first 10 minutes, I will watch the entire episode. If I like it after the first episode, then it goes for episode number 2. If not, it's gone. Then after episode number 2, I usually continue to watch it. There have been times when I haven't, but honestly, at that point, it's kind of like those, I will watch it when I feel like it, but I'm not one of those shows that I'm like, I need to watch it every week, okay? So that's what you're going to hear about these shows. Okay. So let us start with...
So talk to me about Selfie.
Okay, so, Selfie. Selfie was of kind of interest to us because the girl who plays Amy Pond in Doctor Who is in it. So I was kind of interested already. Her name is Karen Gillan. So Gillan?
I think it's Gillian.
Gillian. Well, she's in this show. The second reason why I was kind of interested in this show is because it's a modern take on My Fair Lady. So her name is actually Eliza, and his name is Henry, the guy who's in this. So basically the premise of this show is that Eliza used to be this really nerdy, in her opinion, not very popular girl, and then she kind of started copying the popular people in her school and became popular through how she acted and how she dressed, but in the same way she became kind of a fake person without a very good heart. So through things that happened to her, she decides that she's going to ask this guy who's a publicist for a pharmaceutical company to help her become a better person.
Interesting how they've transitioned the characters.
Yes. It is kind of interesting, but at the same time, you kind of find out that he also needs things changing about himself. Just like Henry Higgins did, he needs to find the love in his heart and how to cut loose every once in a while. So I think what the show is going to be about the two of them kind of figuring it out together.
As he draws out the beauty in her, he falls for it.
Exactly, which is what we think is going to happen through the show. I have to tell you, I liked this show so much, I watched it twice. I watched it once by myself, then I pulled my husband in and said, you need to watch the show. Not only is it just like a really good premise and it's really good-hearted and the people in it just make you care for them, which I love about TV shows. What is just as good about it is that the dialogue and the writing is really quick and it's really clever, you know, like, and really now too, like it taps into a lot of modern pop culture. So in that respect also, it's awesome. Debuts September 30th, so that would be tonight. And the reason why I got to see it ahead of time is because Hulu put it up early.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Hulu. That's how I saw it ahead of time so I can bring it to you. So, obviously, I don't think this video will go up before tonight's preview, so you'll be seeing this after. But if you want to watch it, go to Hulu. You can watch it there. Okay, the second show is also a comedy. It's called A to Z. And again, I was interested in it because if you watch How I Met Your Mother, the girl who turns out to be the mother is the lead girl in the show. Okay, so I go by a lot of who is in it first, and then the premise. So those two things are kind of
so you at least know that the acting side of the equation works.
Exactly, exactly. So in this one, it's called A to Z because the people who are in the show, their names are Andrew and Zelda. So it's A to Z.
Ooh,
but on top of that, they also have all the different ways of their relationship from A to Z that happens. So I can't remember what A is, but the first episode is A is for something, and then they tell about that. So the first episode is all about how they meet, and it's kind of like this kismet fate thing. But the weirdest thing about this episode is that they tell you at the very beginning, this is the story of their relationship in 8 months, such and such amount of days, hours, and minutes. Which is strange because it leaves you thinking either A, they're going to break up at the end of 8 months, or B, they're going to get married at the end of 8 months, and you don't know which one it is.
Well, also, it's entirely possible that they reach Z in that amount of time, which, that's about 26 episodes, isn't it?
And that'd be 26 episodes, which would be a little more than a usual season is, so unless they draw it out, I don't know how they're going to do it.
In a movie?
Yeah, I'm interested to try. Did not like this one as much as Selfie, however, I liked it enough to keep watching it. So far, Selfie is definitely, I'm going to watch the show every week. A to Z, right now, since I've only seen the first episode, I'm probably going to watch it every week, but it's kind of on its second episode status. We'll see where that lies. Next one we have is Gotham. You actually saw this one.
Yes, I did.
We are big comic book fans, obviously. We look at the geek. There is geek all over here. So Batman, this is the basic story, but it's more like prequel because Bruce Wayne is young.
Still, it literally picks up right as the Waynes are being murdered. And a lot of the storyline of this is trying to follow who murdered them and why.
Which is different than the original comic because even when I was watching, I said, well, you know, in the comic, they don't really say that it's premeditated. They say it's a robber who basically shot them.
And in a lot of stories, like the character was named Joe Chill, and he later went on to become, in some versions of it, he later went on to become the Joker. But in some versions, they're completely separate characters.
Exactly. So, I mean, in this one, it's really interesting because you'll see people in the show and you'll be like, oh, I know who that person turns out to be later. So I think the first episode was actually really good. It gave a lot of good background to it.
And it really took a lot of the characters that you kind of know and love as rogues from Batman's gallery, and it gave them more flesh. I mean, taking the Penguin the way that they had, explaining where he came from, how he got to be in his position of importance. This is all a how did they get where they ended up kind of show.
So this show actually has already aired. It started a couple weeks ago, I believe. So we have not seen the second episode yet, even though it has already aired. We'll probably watch it today. We DVR a lot. We don't necessarily watch things on the day it comes out. We're too busy for that. So that is Gotham. Gotham is definitely one of those we'll keep watching.
Yes, most definitely.
So the next one I have is How to Get Away with Murder, which comes on after my other awesome show, Scandal. If you guys aren't watching Scandal, you should be watching Scandal. You can get caught up with it on Netflix. Hint, hint. Just saying. All right, so How to Get Away with Murder. Twisty, turvy. Turvy? Is that a word?
Yeah, topsy-turvy is typically how it's used. But twisty-turvy. Twisty-turvy isn't a bad idea for you. Yeah, we can hashtag that. That's a good description of it because, you know, you do have kind of this dual element. You have most of the episode is happening in flashback, but it's a very intelligent show. Kind
of flashback. Like, I think it's two dual timelines that are happening. The basic premise of this one is, it's like, when I first started watching it, I was like, this is like Legally Blonde, but without the blonde. Basically, there's a lawyer... and it's a guy. I think. Anyway, it's about this professor of law. She's also a working lawyer. She has her own firm, and she needs to pick people in order to work in her firm from her classes. And they compete in order to get the spot. And while you're thinking, that sounds kind of lame, you know, maybe a little bit dull.
It's very intense.
It's not, because the whole first thing is them trying to fight by getting evidence for her to win her trial. And you're seeing something else happen.
She's saying it's dual timelines, but the very beginning of the episode and little splurts throughout are focusing on one thing going on here, where the rest of the stuff, where the trial that we just talked about, is happening 3 months ahead of time. So you get to see both different sides of that bit by bit.
The trial is 3 months before.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, you said 3 months ahead of time.
Anyway, you get what we're talking about.
What basically we're saying is 3 months from the time they start school, that's the first episode, plus they're also showing you something that's 3 months in the future, where you do not know a murder may or may not have been done 3 months in the future.
Yes.
So they're kind of showing you both of them, and so now you're really intrigued. Was there a murder, really? Who did it? Mm-hmm. How are they going to get away with it? Or not get away with it, you know? That kind of thing. Time out.
Water break, water break.
So How to Get Away with Murder, definitely a show that's right up my alley. I love suspense shows. So I think it's one of those that we're probably going to keep watching.
But as I was telling her earlier, this is one of those shows that I feel like I would rather binge watch rather than watch on a weekly basis, because it does kind of leave you going like, but what is going to...
Yeah, it's true. Or you can do like me and just watch it both times. So you watch it once by yourself weekly, and then you wait until someone like him wants to watch it all together, and you watch it again.
And that way you start picking up on things you missed the first time around, like you did.
Right, exactly. Okay, so next I'm going to bring you to 3 shows that I watched the pilot to, I've watched the second episode of, and I'm going to place them in my... I guess I will watch it if I feel like it and have nothing better to do. As in, they're good shows, but are they on my priority? No. Okay, so the first one is called The Mysteries of Laura. It has Deborah Messing. The premise of the show, she's a detective. She's very like sweats t-shirt detective. She has twin boys. She's going through a messy divorce, and she basically solves crimes in a really quirky style, very much like kind of like a Murder, She Wrote type thing. You know, that's the kind of vibe I get from it. But at the same time, like I like the storyline. I like where the character development is going, but it's not as like suspenseful or anything like How to Get Away with Murder. But I still think it's
so yeah. You do get a big Murder, She Wrote vibe. Yay, mother solving mysteries. This is so wonderful, isn't she smart? Kind of thing.
Pretty much. But that's really all I can say about that. You can check that out. That's also on Hulu. I also have a show called Forever, which I know has not been getting a lot of really good reviews. I honestly don't know if I'm going to stick with it past episode 3. But again, it's one of those shows that you're just kind of like, nah, okay. Anyway, it's about a guy who can't die, and every time he does, his body dies, he wakes up in water naked, with no clothes on, and he
because you can't take it with
comes
you.
back to life. Apparently this has been happening for 200 years. And someone is trying to figure out how to kill him. That's the basic premise of it. At the same time, he's a medical examiner, so he's trying to figure out how other people died at the same way he studies
So he uses
death.
his expertise, having died so many times before, to go, this is how they died.
It's an interesting show. I would have to say it's kind of like a dramatic Numbers, but yet not as
numbery,
scientific-y. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So a little bit more like a Sherlock Holmesian style. Maybe?
Yeah, but not as like intriguing in my opinion. It's just okay.
Okay.
It's just an okay show. And the last one I have is Red Band Society. This is a hospital full of kids. They're either terminal or not. Some of them have cancer, some of them have eating disorders, some of them are in a coma. And which is the weirdest thing about it, because the narrator is the one in the coma. So he's not even awake. And what's really interesting is when the other kids go to surgery and they have themselves placed under anesthesia, they can talk to the kid in the coma. And the kid in the coma will give him insight or tell them how to do things, so when they come back out, but they'll know things, right?
So basically what this kid is doing is he's astral projecting while he's in a coma.
I think that's what's going on. I'm not exactly 100% sure. But the other strange thing about this is it's kind of like gives it a Breakfast Club vibe to it, because they're all like there together and they're stuck there, but then they like go off and do things together in the hospital that they probably shouldn't be doing, like, I don't know, breaking into vending machines. I can't even remember everything. But there's like them also trying to deal with the tragedies of their illness or something that could kill them. They are trying to be a teenager also. So it's kind of a strange dichotomy. It's one of those shows that you're like, it's nice. However, I did expect to go into it to really feel like, oh my gosh, this show like makes me cry and I'm really emotional about it, and I didn't care. I didn't care.
I don't care about cancer patients.
That's not what I'm trying to say. I didn't, like, if it makes me feel about a character, then I am much closer to it, but I didn't feel that in this show at all.
So you didn't really get connections with anyone?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay, that is all the shows that the newer shows that we've seen so far that I kind of wanted to say, yes, you should be watching these shows. My next video will be all the shows we did not like. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the fact that we're doing these new kind of like pop culture review things, let us know. Put those comments down below. Subscribe, like, all that jazz. Follow us on social media. Both of our social media is below. I like to post on my Facebook and my Instagram about things like this, so make sure you're following. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.